Hi, everyone, this is the Encyclopedia channel. The book that this program interprets for you is a classic psychology book, The Farther Reaches of Human Nature. The main content of the book is to explore the beautiful realm that can be achieved in life from the perspective of human needs and the realization of human value. Regarding the issue of human nature, many philosophers and thinkers have had in-depth discussions since ancient times. It can be said that so far, human beings still have no clear answer to this question, because human nature is too complicated. Whether human nature is good or evil, whether it is temperance or greed, whether it is pursuing improvement or coveting comfort, no one can give a conclusion. Human nature will be affected by various environmental factors such as nature and society. As the spirit of all things, human beings have higher requirements for life in addition to solving the problem of survival, gaining status, reputation, and respect and recognition from others, all of which are a desire to realize their own value. Why do some people only do what they can do, while others can show a motivation to go beyond themselves? Why do some people have a positive attitude towards life, while others choose to avoid growing up? What kind of height can the realm of human nature reach? The book interpreted in this issue discusses the profound topic of human nature from the psychological level. Speaking of this book, we must first understand the author of this book, Abraham Maslow. Chances are you've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. He was truly remarkable, a master figure, so to speak. Maslow is the main founder of Humanistic Psychology in the 1950s and is known as the father of Humanistic Psychology. What is Humanistic Psychology? The biggest feature of this school is that it advocates human-centered psychological research, emphasizes human nature and positive values, and proposes to use the best people as research objects. Before that, psychology focused on human beings. Problem behaviors or animals, such as Freud's school of psychoanalysis, which used psychopaths as research objects, and Watson's behaviorist school, which used mice as research objects. Following psychoanalysis and behaviorist psychology, Maslow's psychology has formed the third wave of thought in psychology. The New York Times commented that Maslow's psychological research is a milestone in the process of human beings understanding themselves. The book explained in this episode is Maslow's masterpiece and a classic study of human nature and social relations. The content involved in personal growth, understanding of human nature, attitude towards life and the meaning of life have been cited by countless psychologists and anthropologists. In this issue, we will interpret this book in detail from the aspects of the theory of human needs hierarchy, the 8 paths of self-realization and the highest level of self-realization. First part. Let's first look at the first content, Maslow's famous hierarchy of needs theory. When studying human needs, Maslow's foothold is the most essential thing among human needs, that is, what are the unchanging and hereditary desires that drive all human beings, except for superficial desires such as eating, sleeping, and sex? And instinctive needs? For example, in some cultures, a person's self-esteem is satisfied by being a good hunter, while in another culture, self-esteem is satisfied by being a completely hard-hearted person. Different cultures provide 2 different ways to satisfy the essential human need of self-esteem, but the fundamental purpose of these 2 people is the same. Maslow identified 5 needs like this, which are physiological needs, safety needs, belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. He believes that this is the true inner essence of human nature, which will not be eliminated even in different cultures. Only when these needs are met can it be said that there is human existence. Maslow believes that human needs are continuous and endless. After one need is met, another will quickly appear and take its place, and when this one is met, the next one will stand up again, and human beings may never be completely satisfied. Also, these needs seem to be prioritized, which means they are automatically ranked in order of dominance. This first need satisfies the physiological needs. This is easier to understand, just like eating, drinking, and sleeping, maintaining the physiological balance in the body. These are the most basic needs of human survival. If a person lacks food, safety, love, and respect at the same time, then his need for food must be the strongest. At this time, physiological needs can dominate his body, the whole consciousness will be controlled by hunger, all other needs will be discarded, and all will be devoted to the activities of looking for food, which can even lead to a change in a person's outlook on life. For example, For a chronically hungry person whose ideal is a place where food is plentiful, he will think that if he can be assured of having enough food for the rest of his life, he will be happy and have no other luxury. The biggest meaning is to eat. When people solve the problem of survival, their needs will start to change, and new higher-level needs will control the body again, that is, safety needs, that is, the needs for a safe, stable, free from fright, and an orderly external environment. Like the consequences of starvation, if a person is constantly in an unsafe environment, the belief that he lives only for safety will supersede everything. The most obvious response to threats is young children. When they suddenly fall, are frightened by thunder, are beaten and scolded by their parents, or are bullied, they will respond with all their strength, that is, cry loudly. As children grow up, their knowledge is improved little by little, they become familiar with the surrounding environment and develop their motor nerves. These dangers become less scary and can be controlled. This is also a part of human growth, so human beings often prefer familiar and familiar known things. For example, we like a stable job, buying insurance for ourselves, and so on. There is also the tendency to use a certain religion to form a harmonious whole, which is more or less out of the need for safety. Let's look at belonging needs again, which refer to emotional needs such as friendship, love, and sexual intimacy. After basic physiological needs and safety needs are satisfied, people will feel strongly lonely and helpless, longing to establish an affectionate relationship with people, longing to have a place in his group and family, such as with neighbors, fellow countrymen, and relatives. Emotional ties between people, peers, or acquaintances. The most graphic example of the longing for a sense of community is that of soldiers, who, in defense of a common enemy, are thrust into a close brotherhood that they remain close throughout their lives. The mobility of modern society, the disintegration of families, generation gaps, and urbanization all exacerbate people's desire to belong. Maslow believes that if a good society is to develop and be healthy, it must satisfy this desire of people. The next level up is respect for needs. All people in society need a solid high evaluation for them, a need for self-confidence or hope for approval from others. Satisfying the need for respect will also enhance people's self-confidence and make people feel that they are a valuable and powerful person. Once this need is not met, it will make people feel inferior and incompetent, which will make people lose self-confidence and then feel helpless. A man's self-esteem is most secure when he is well-deservedly respected by others. The top level of the hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. The definition of self-actualization is the human desire for self-development and fulfillment, a tendency to realize one's potential, to make oneself more and more unique, to become all that one can be. To put it bluntly, self-actualization is what a person can be, what he must be. The way to meet this need may vary greatly from person to person. For example, a composer must compose music, a painter must paint, and a poet must write poetry, otherwise he will never be reconciled. People must be true to their own nature, which is the need for self-actualization. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, human beings are arranged from low to high, from physiological needs to self-actualization needs. People will not feel satisfied just because they have obtained a need, but will gradually obtain sublimation and development. Once people satisfy their higher needs for a long time and gain a sense of value, their higher needs will become independent and no longer depend on the satisfaction of lower needs. People will even despise the satisfaction of lower needs that once led them to live a higher life. For most normal people, all basic needs are only partially met and at the same time deficient to some extent. To describe this hierarchical sequence from low to high more intuitively, we can assume some numbers arbitrarily. Perhaps the average citizen probably meets 85% of physiological needs, 70% of security needs, 50% of belonging needs, and 40% of self-esteem needs and 10% self-actualization needs. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, some people who lack love from the first few months of life may permanently lose the need for love in adulthood, and will not have the ability to love. For another example, a person who has never experienced long-term starvation can easily underestimate its torture and regard food as dispensable. He may give up the most basic needs for advanced needs. It is also possible that a person who lost his job for his self-esteem sacrificed his self-esteem in order to get it back after 6 months or so of poverty. There is also a particularly interesting phenomenon, which is a kind of frustration tolerance enhanced by early satisfaction. What does it mean? People whose basic needs have been met throughout life, especially early in life, seem to have developed a rare strength to tolerate setbacks because they have a solid and healthy character structure, and they are strong people who are resistant to disagreement or opposition. Opinions can be taken with equanimity, they can resist the pressure of public opinion, and they can stand up for the truth at great cost. It is those who have given love and received enough love who can give up all for ideals or noble creeds. This is the first part of our talk. Let's summarize. Maslow summarized human needs into physiological needs, safety needs, belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs, which are the real inner essence of human nature. Human needs are continuous and endless. After one need is met, another will appear quickly and take its place, and the high-level needs will only appear after the low-level needs are met. Human beings may live forever, will not be fully satisfied. These needs are prioritized, and they are automatically ranked according to the level of strength. People will not feel satisfied just because they have obtained a need, but will gradually obtain sublimation and development. The second part. 8 paths to self-actualization. Maslow believes that people who can reach the top of the hierarchy of needs, that is, people who can achieve self-actualization, are the best models of human beings. If one were to define these individuals, they would be those who are mentally sound, able to fully develop and use their talents and potentials. They are absorbed in the work that they enjoy, and the division between work and pleasure has disappeared in them. They are devoted to the experience of being that can pin their ultimate value. They also enjoy the most basic needs, but are not captives to them. Becoming a self-actualized person is the common pursuit of human beings, and it also shows the highest state that human nature can achieve. As advanced life individuals, we should not only meet the basic needs of survival, but also create a beautiful realm of life. So, what does self-actualization mean? Maslow pointed out 8 pathways. Let's take a look together. First, forget yourself. Self-actualization means experiencing life fully and selflessly, the way a child feels engrossed and forgetful when playing with a toy. This is the moment of self-actualization. Maslow described it in a very philosophical way, which is the state that you experience when you really become a human being. Forget pretense, restraint, and sophistication, and present a childlike innocence, reaching a state of selflessness. This is the first path to self-actualization. Let's look at the second one, growth. Your life is filled with a series of choices, and each choice has a forward and a backward direction. The process of self-realization is to turn every choice into growth, instead of tending to defense, safety, or shrinking. Third, be real. To be able to realize the authentic self. People are not a blank slate. Everyone has an ego. We should listen to our inner calling and show ourselves instead of shaping ourselves according to the teachings of our parents or the voice of authority. Just like when you taste a glass of wine, you don't speak according to its trademark, nor experience it according to the brand's advertisements, but close your eyes and experience the real taste it brings to you. Let's look at an example in love. When it comes to performance in love, you might say that when you are in love, everyone is trying to show their strengths. However, self-actualizing people behave in the opposite way when they are in love, and they are able to eliminate all fear and anxiety about the other person. That is to say, in this kind of healthy love relationship, they can show their true selves more and more, and they can truly become their own masters, and they are more free and informal than in front of other people. This kind of candor also includes letting your partner see your own flaws and weaknesses. Fourth, be honest. When you have doubts, speak up honestly and don't hold back. For example, some people may not be honest when they are doing psychological counseling, but acting, and it is not easy for them to listen to pertinent advice. Asking yourself about many issues means taking responsibility, and asking yourself is itself a big step towards self-actualization. Fifth, courage. Be courageous, dare to be different, and would rather not be popular than follow the crowd. Sixth, continuous improvement. Self-actualization is not an end state, it is a continuous process of realizing one's potential at any moment and to any extent. Trying to do well in what you want to do often involves a diligent, energy-intensive preparation phase. Aim for yourself to be first-rate, not second-rate, and do what you can to achieve it. Seventh, give up the defensive psychology. Helping a person to know himself, to figure out what this person likes and dislikes, what is good and what is not good for him, where he is going, and what his mission is, means to himself the identification of defensive psychology should find the courage to give up this defense after identification. For example, in love, a person can let go of all hostility towards the opposite sex, and will not have the urge to unite with the same sex against the opposite sex. On the contrary, he can feel the needs of the other person, and treat the needs of the other person as his own. He will also regard his own needs as the needs of the other party. The other party's disease is a common disease of two people. Even if the other party's achievements exceed his own, he will not make himself feel jealous, respect the other party's personality, and do not ask for anything in return. Eighth, peak experience. Peak experiences are fleeting moments of self-actualization. Find out what you are not good at, find out what your potential is, and then create conditions to allow yourself to have more peak experiences. We will expand on the peak experience in detail in the third part. These are the 8 paths of self-realization: ecstasy, growth, authenticity, honesty, courage, continuous improvement, giving up defensive psychology, and peak experience. Self-actualization is not a matter of one moment, it is, so to speak, a matter of degree, the accumulation of many small advances. To sum it up, self-actualizing people have strong personalities. They know who they are, where they go, what they need, and what they are good at. In a word, they are strong egos, skilled in the right use of their powers, functioning according to their own true nature. The third part. Next, let's talk about the third content, peak experience, which is the highest state that human nature can reach. What is peak experience? Maslow found from self-actualizing people that they often feel a special experience, which is a kind of trembling from the depths of the soul, satisfaction, transcendental emotional experience, and extreme joy. The feeling is like standing on a high mountain. At the peak, they cried or laughed loudly, which could not even be described in words, but it was extremely profound. Maslow called this experience a peak experience. Many successful people often refer to this kind of experience, and they say that this kind of experience seems to illuminate their whole life. Some of these wonderful experiences come from nature, some from music, and some from sexual life. For example, the feeling of a mother who has just given birth watching her baby, when a scientist finally overcomes a technical problem, and when a man and a woman are in love with each other. Usually, people will lose the sense of time and space during the peak experience, that is, they will reach the state of ecstasy. For example, when an artist is engaged in fanatical creation, the surrounding things have no influence on him, and he does not feel the passage of time. When he woke up, it was as if he had passed away, not knowing where he was. This is especially true for people in love. Maslow believes that everyone has an impulse to improve themselves, an impulse that tends more towards self-actualization, and they all have this potential. But why do some people not tend towards self-actualization, as if they are avoiding growth, and what is holding them back? Maslow proposed a very interesting explanation called the Jonah complex. Jonah is a character in the Old Testament of the Bible. He is a pious Jewish prophet who has always longed to be sent by God. One day God finally gave him a glorious mission, but he resisted this mission. He ran away and kept avoiding the God he believed in. In psychology, the Jonah complex refers to the deliberate avoidance of one's best potential, the fear of contemplating the highest possibility one can achieve. This is really a very contradictory psychology. When people experience the peak, they are delighted and excited by the godlike possibility on the one hand, but at the same time, they tremble and fear before these possibilities with a feeling of weakness, awe, and fear. Be who you are at your most perfect, with your greatest courage. When analyzing this complex, Maslow believes that the reason for this is that human beings have a mentality of avoiding responsibility. For example, the ambivalence that people have mixed with admiration and hostility when facing holy figures is just the embodiment of this complex. People admire those who embody truth, kindness, and beauty and ultimately succeed, but they also make people uneasy, anxious, and maybe a little jealous, a little inferior. To a certain extent, people want to cling to this experience, and they don't want to return to ordinary life from this summit. Why are peak experiences often so short-lived? Maslow's explanation is that human beings are just not strong enough to bear too much, it is too shocking and exhausting. Therefore, people in this blissful moment often say, "No more, I can't take it anymore, if I die now, it will be worth it." Maddening bliss, therefore, cannot be endured for long, any more than our organism is too weak to sustain prolonged excitement. It's a legitimate emotion, a legitimate fear of being destroyed, of losing control, of falling apart. This is the third content we are talking about peak experience. The peak experience is a short moment that self-realized people can experience. It is a kind of trembling, satisfaction, transcendental emotional experience, and extreme joy from the depths of the soul, just like standing on the top of a mountain. This is the highest peak of human experience, and the highest state that human nature can reach. But people often have an ambivalence about peak experiences, also known as the Jonah complex. They deliberately avoid their best potential and are afraid to contemplate the highest possibility that they can reach. Maddening happiness cannot be endured for long, it is a legitimate emotion, a legitimate fear of being destroyed, of losing control, of falling apart. Now, let's review the key points again. First of all, Maslow summarized human needs into physiological needs, safety needs, belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. This is the true inner essence of human nature. And these needs are arranged from low to high, and the high-level needs will only appear after the low-level needs are met. People will not feel satisfied just because they have obtained a need. This is how people gradually get sublimation and development. Secondly, in order to tend to self-actualization, Maslow summed up 8 paths, including experiencing life selflessly, tending to grow, facing the true self, honesty, having the courage to be different, continuous progress, giving up defensive psychology, and peak experience. In a nutshell, in a word, a self-actualized person has a strong ego, knows how to use his power correctly, and functions according to his true nature. Finally, we talked about peak experiences. It is a fleeting moment experienced by self-actualized people, a joy that comes from the depths of the soul. But people often have an ambivalence about peak experiences, also known as the Jonah complex. They deliberately avoid their best potential and are afraid to contemplate the highest possibility that they can achieve. In Maslow's view, this is a reasonable emotion, a reasonable fear of being destroyed, losing control, and collapsing. Peak experience is also seen as the highest state that human nature can achieve. For modern people, Maslow, a master of psychology in the last century, still has enlightening insight and understanding about human nature. In this era and society full of competition, each of us hopes to mobilize all positive factors in ourselves, improve our personality, realize our potential, realize our self-worth, and enjoy real success in life. It has to be said that Maslow's theory has also adapted to the needs of each of us who pursue success in life. This is the end of this episode of the show. What do you think about it differently? Welcome to leave a message to discuss with everyone. Hey, if you like our channel, please subscribe us. Haha, remember to like it.